Ready?
Okay, that's much better.
Yeah, there's no clacking.
No clacking. That was a metronome. Metronome moment. Metronome moment number 2. Welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 37-2. We are well on our way into World 37 of this fine podcast. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We pick a topic, we pick some music, and we get right into it. Excuse me. Before we get started, I want to give a few shout-outs and a few mentions of things. First, I want to thank everyone who came on to our live stream a couple weeks ago. That was our Patreon exclusive live stream. So if you want to get if you want to get our podcast episodes part of there, if you want to be part of the live streamed episodes, and if you also want to be able to get the episodes ad-free, then go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. Also, check out our youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. I'm starting to upload video game soundtracks. Video game soundtracks that either are underrepresented or not represented at all on YouTube. So I have
Preferably once not to get shot down by the man.
We will see. But go check it out and go listen to them because I'm trying to make partner. We have lots of subscribers, but not enough listens. So go check it out. It's mainly going to be TurboGrafx and PC Engine because there's a lot of those not on YouTube, or if they're on YouTube, they're not individual tracks. You have to listen to the whole soundtrack. So I'm doing that. And then finally, I'm slowly getting better. I think I have another cold. But finally, I also want to give some shout-outs to some other podcasters. First of all, Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy. His latest episode is all about Sega CD games, but not the Sega CD Red Book audio music. It's the music from the console itself, which is fascinating to me.
Wait a minute, as in like the music that would play in a menu?
No, there's music in a lot of these Sega CD games and Mega CD games that aren't being played from Red Book audio, but are actually being played from the sound chips. And there's different sound chips inside the Sega CD system, which is really neat. So really love that. And also a huge shout out to XVGM Radio. They just did a musical history of Natsume. That's really cool. So yeah, the New England connection over there. Really cool stuff. I want to give them a shout. So thank you. And also, go download Whisker Squadron. Our friend Shell, she's working hard. She made some great bangers. Go check that out. All right, I'm done. I'm done advertising things. Probably doing.
No, there's got to be more. There's more.
I am thinking about changing the format of the podcast, where it's video game music and murders. So as we listen to video game music, you and I just describe gruesome murders from like the 1940s. How about that?
Okay, veto campaign. Right now, there will be no murders on the podcast. They remain in the building to the left. So no, thank you, sir. But at the same time, murder mysteries can be fun.
I think we can do a murder mystery. Yeah, murder mystery.
If you can write a murder mystery,
oh man,
I'd be on board with solving that.
I barely have enough time to do this show, man.
Exactly. So I think we know where the murders are going. Back to the building, not the podcast.
But truth be told, I feel like this format of music podcast, video game music podcast, started with the Legacy Music Hour, and then we all sort of emulate it, and it works really well. I find it very comforting. It's very natural. But maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe there's a different way to do it.
I'm not sure. All I know is no matter how you slice it, someone's going to be unhappy. Like, it's one of those things where, what was it? Like, I'm in like a lot of like general like meme groups or whatever, and somebody made a meme about podcasts in general, the concept of the podcast, and how everybody started dogging on the podcast being podcasting being people that feel self-important, wanting other people to see how important they are. And my thought to that was, that's really not what it is. Well, at least not that I can tell.
At least it's not what we are. But I think the podcasts that are popular right now and the podcasts that are probably making a lot of money right now are like that. 5 dudes standing around talking about like working out, getting chicks, laughing at each other, taking testosterone pills.
Well, that's just it, though. I mean, like, that might be their niche. If it's a fitness podcast and they're going to be popping pills and talking about getting whatever they do.
It's either that or it's NPR style, like, really in-depth, scripted, really good stuff, but it's radio. Man, that's radio. This is a podcast. Yeah. This is about, we're doing this in the basement. Oh, I should also mention, we're doing this pandemic lockdown style. Purnell is in his house. I'm at my house, partly because I'm kind of sick, and partly because I'm starting to try to do this at night while my son is asleep for the first time.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes, but I can't imagine it being any worse than me being there making a lot of noise and waking him up. So,
well, you know what? Eventually, it'll normalize, and then we can do it here at night. But we'll see. You're a loud boy. You're a very loud boy.
Not by choice, I can tell you that much.
You just get excited.
Like I swallowed a megaphone.
You get excited sometimes, and then you just kind of raise your voice a little bit.
Oh boy, they put peppers in these peanuts.
Peanut pepper peanuts.
Oh my God, this soup is extra spicy. Holy cow, there's a Mega Man 12 coming out. That's not happening, but God, would that be nice. But yeah, I do get happy about things. But it's one of the things where, like, no matter how you slice it, I just get noisy.
Yeah.
But the thing about the podcasting concept was that it seems weird that people would take that to mean necessarily that it's about semi-importance, because, like I said, I get it. There are definitely some egos out there. A lot of egos out there. And I question if anybody listens to our show and thinks that we're like that too. It's like, oh God, they just think they're important. I'm like, look, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm about humble as all hell. That's not where I roll.
You're the humblest there is.
I just like talking to friends about video game music, and we have a lot of fun discussing these things.
Yeah.
And the idea of people listening to it is awesome, but from the time we started, it was more in my mind like we might get one listener, and that's fine, I guess.
I was like, if we keep doing it, maybe I get a little bit more.
And now we've got 10 listeners.
We got a fair few more than 10, but.
There's an exponent involved.
There's an exponent, but you know what? Like I thank every single one of them. Who want to come on and listen to our voices and listen to some music. We're not breaking any ground here. We're not. I'm really not good on the history of things, and but it's just we're having a good time. We're just a couple. And what's most important is the music and the composers of the music. And our memories of this stuff. So I hope that the listeners can empathize with what we're feeling.
Jazzercise.
Get up on your feet. Yeah.
And move to the beat.
Hey, Purnell, so this topic that we're going to do.
Yes,
Alistair. What did they used to say that would get them slimed?
I'm not even sure, to be perfectly frank.
It was I don't know. That's what it was, right? They'd say I don't know, and then they would get slimed. Is that what it was?
That sounds familiar, but because deep down I can't remember, but I do feel like it was something where they knew it was coming. Like, oh crap!
Yeah,
I don't know. But like, I don't know what it is about me thinking it, but I always reference Alistair. I know that Alanis Morissette was on there.
Yeah,
and there's probably a number of other kids, but Alistair is the only one that I reference in conversation.
We're talking about that Nickelodeon show. You can't do that on television, which is actually a very risque name for a TV show. But no,
you couldn't do that on television. Say I don't know.
That's right. They had the secret word. It'd scream real loud. So no, today's podcast was a topic given to us by Daryl, definitely Daryl, the last Rican, Purnell's friend,
definitely
my nemesis. No, I'm kidding. Both of our friends, and and he was like, "Hey, this one is all about." It says, "Get by with a little help of my friends." And I thought this was a fascinating idea. This is games where we have fond memories of going to GameFAQs or going to people or calling helplines or strategy guides. Fond memories of that sort of adventure. Maybe early internet, maybe even pre-internet, for me anyway.
I'll admit I kind of winged this one a little bit, but as part of the fun of the show... but I do feel as though I am in the spirit of the topic, which is why I think it'll be interesting when I do my thingies. But I do like this topic. I do like this topic quite a bit. But the thing that got me was that I started thinking back to old episodes, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I've already talked about some of the specific helpline things I've had to do, like the freaking barrel in Sonic 3.
Yeah,
that was my biggest one by far. Stupid barrel, and people still talk about it too. Like that is a legend. That is a video game legend right there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that means you haven't played Sonic 3. Just period.
been a long
Everyone's
time
encountered it.
Been a long time since I played Sonic 3, and I think that was the one I played the least. It was the second one I played the most.
Like, I'll flat out say right now, if you played Sonic 3, completed Sonic 3, and never got stuck at that barrel, even for 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, call it out, because I don't believe you. It's impossible. It is unlike anything else in the game. It goes against all the game rules you've had up to that point across every Sonic game you've ever played. So to get there and be just like, I better do this button combination. I'm like, no, you wouldn't know that. No, you wouldn't. And there's no tell for it either. So it's sinister. And I'm sure I got a lot of tip line dollars too, until it probably showed up in a GamePro magazine or something.
I wonder if some of these like hang-ups in these older games were a way to get some extra cash on those tip lines.
Oh, absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Just like how strategy guys when strategy guys became a thing, a number of companies started putting in things in the games that would almost require you to not require, but you would want some outside help to find them. Like, to find it without it would be tougher than you'd expect. Like, going back, and I have one like that in my list actually too, but going back to a place you've been to in the game hours prior in a small, narrow window of time to trigger the effect. No one's going to do that unless they had a guy telling them to. So they absolutely do that kind of stuff. They intentionally, and they have no shame in it either, because they want to sell those strategy guides or push those helpline calls.
Wow. That's sinister, but you know what? I feel like so much about the video game industry today. There's so much more to complain about and to be concerned about. So we'll let them.
Comparatively, I missed the guide era.
We'll let them have this one. So I'm starting off the show with some music, and mine is specifically about a guide. This is from Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest I for the NES. This is the castle theme, composed by Koichi Sugiyama. And we're back. This is a shorty. Actually, a lot of the music in this game is quite a shorty. This is from Castle. This is the castle theme from Dragon Warrior for the NES, composed by Koichi Sugiyama. Classic music. Spent a lot of time in the castle because you got to get back to the castle to save your darn game. And this was, I'm not sure if this or if it was the first Final Fantasy for the NES, were my first RPGs I ever played, but I was definitely too young to really understand how to play these games. And Dragon Warrior was released, it was given away with a strategy guide, right? Or you bought the strategy guide? I can't remember.
Well, the game itself was just the game, but later on, Nintendo Power started to give the strategy guide away.
That's what it was.
With a copy of I'm trying to remember, it was a copy of the game. Like, you got the game and they gave you a copy of the strategy guide.
Yeah.
But it was done as like a promo offer through Nintendo Power.
But it was like,
my recollection is,
it was like just the first like part of the game, or like just the first like world or first few levels of it. And
no.
That was the whole thing.
It was the official Nintendo Power strategy guide.
Okay, I can't, for some reason maybe it was Final Fantasy that only gave you like the first little bit, or maybe I only read the first little. Maybe it was in the manual.
Close. I was about to say, Final Fantasy, it was in the manual.
That's what I'm thinking.
And they kind of got you started up through the pirates and the port town. And then after that, they were like, what else can you find in the world of Final Fantasy? Go find out.
Well, then I should have picked music from Final Fantasy, because that's what I really remember, not knowing exactly what to do and having to put the game in to get the strategy guide every time. But I was still fascinated by these games because in my mind, video games were action-oriented, right? They were shooters, they were sports games, they were platformers. That's what a video game was. And then suddenly there was all this text on the screen. There was like this turn-based kind of combat that was very slow, and it didn't grab me right away. But I played a lot of Dragon Warrior, like from the beginning, because we could never like get to the save file or get to the save point again, because we were young and stupid. But like it was it was definitely like something that captured my imagination enough to like actually get really interested and want to play more of it. And then of course, as I got older, realizing it was very much based off of like Dungeons and Dragons and the tabletop RPGs. So then it all clicked. But yeah, I mean, this is really cool stuff. And the music in this game is really neat. For just being a few square waves, it's pretty cool.
I will say for anybody listening, just in case I got something wrong, I did not buy Dragon Warrior back in the day. I was one of the rental kids. I only rented it from not even Block. I got it from West Coast Video.
Oh.
So I never had the manual, which means if there was a manual in there, like if there was a guide in the manual, like Rob was describing, I've never seen the manual for this game.
I gotta know the West Coast Video you went to. Was that the one up in Bramar?
No. The one I went to was in Fairfax Shopping Center.
Oh,
and then there was also one back
sense.
in the day that was near off of Lee Boulevard, next to the grocery store.
I miss West Coast, man. That was the one. Because I
miss video rentals.
It was Suncoast Video at the mall. They sold videos, and they started selling anime when that was starting to be being released. But it was West Coast Video. Then they got bought by somebody. I think they turned into a Blockbuster eventually, or they left, and then that Blockbuster came in somewhere else. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like West Coast Video had like a curated vibe. Like you walked in there and there was like, the pics from like the people who worked there. Things weren't always going to be there that if you were looking for them, but you'd find something interesting.
But that's partly why I missed that era like I do. Maybe that should be an episode, though. I think we may have done that before, but if not, we can. But that idea of what the video store rental era was, because on one hand, right now we have everything we want when we want it through these subscription services or whatever.
Yeah, streaming makes it a lot easier.
But you lose something. You absolutely lose something in that because everything's there. There's no adventure to go get it and then be stuck with it, knowing that this is your entertainment, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Now there's
made a good choice.
There's a place that it's across from the Chuck E. Cheese. It's on Silverside Road. I'm not sure what it is now. I think it's I think they sell CBD oil or something. But what it used to be, it was called Vix Video American. Or Vix Video American, and they sold only, or they rented and sold only indie movies, art house movies, classics, and laserdiscs. So if you were ever if you wanted like all the Kurosawa films, like you would go there, and like they had amazing like staff picks, and they always had like what you were looking for. If you were looking for like classics and arty stuff, I miss that place. That was a really cool place.
But then you're talking in the sense that you know what you want. You're there. You're looking for it. They
always.
got it. You go home. I'm talking about you're in the store. Your folks say you got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Pick something and get out. And you finally narrow it down to 2 or 3 games you want. And you know nothing about them.
Yep.
You're staring at the back cover of the box with its 2 or 3 images and like generic text that some guy in like, I don't know, a writer's room came up with. And you're like, okay, is this the one? No, but this one has flying aliens. But this one has a cool dude with a sword. That one has the color green on the box. Which one do I want? And you're just deliberating. In the end, it ends up coming down to like, I'm going to throw all 3 boxes in the air, and whichever one hits the ground first, that's the game I'm taking home.
And that's what happens when like I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't know. These NES games, this one looks really cool. It's got some samurai on the cover. And so you come home with Nobunaga's Ambition for the NES with no instruction manual. You have no clue what's going on. One last video rental story is, Christy, my wife and I have been married 19 years now, and one of our earliest like dates we used to go to a Blockbuster to pick out a video, and we would be there for probably an hour, maybe 2 hours, and never decide on one, and then just leave.
But think about, just imagine how that gave you something to freaking do.
Yeah.
Like, people take that for granted even. It's like, hey, we need something to do on this date. Okay, how about we go to the video store as a destination, peruse the aisles, talk about the films on the shelves, and then collectively choose one to take home and watch.
Or never do it.
Or not, or take nothing home. Yeah. But now it's just basically, well, come over to my house and we'll just click through
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, now it's like you click through
that.
Netflix hoping to find something, and if you don't, you just watch, Frasier for the 15th time. So
Who doesn't like? Well, now you got more Frasier coming. You heard about that, right?
I am. I'm David Hyde Pierce isn't involved, so I'm not as excited because
Yeah, but now he has a son
he always had a
who's
son.
his foil. But now the son is the foil.
Yeah, it could be fun. There was the 80s show reboot was on Netflix, was actually pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was funny enough. like the original show. So if they do something similar like that, I'd be pleased. We're way off track here. What's your first track?
That means mission accomplished.
Yeah, man.
So I'm going down like different elements of get by with a little help in the context that only I would come up with. And this first one is an example of what can happen when you don't get by with a little help. As in, you tell yourself, whatever. I don't need any FAQs. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. I'm going to do what I want. Do it by myself.
Oh.
And then you discover that you screwed up somewhere, and now you're angry and you want to quit. So I'll talk about that. But the actual track title is called Awkward Justice, and it comes from the game Tales of the Abyss, and it's composed by Motoi Sakuraba.
Oh, we gotta have a Sakuraba. Gotta have some Sakuraba.
It's been a while, actually. I miss him.
Well, he's back.
In Pog form. Welcome back. You're listening to Awkward Justice from the game Tales of the Abyss, composed by Motoi Sakuraba. I know it was released on the PlayStation 2 and the place where I attempted to play it was the Nintendo DS. And I own it on both, of course, because of course I do. But this game, Tales games in general are notorious for having elements of bonus content that are set up in ways where, in order to access them and accomplish what you need to do to pull it off, you have to do unnatural things. Very unnatural things. For example, the thing that got to me, which is there was a particular quest in this game that involves some character called the Antlion Man. He exists in one town and one town only, and he requests that you pick up items and deliver them to him. Now, they can be easy things to acquire. You just have to have them at the time you talk to them. And sometimes as you get further in the game, they're supposedly a little bit more complex. I say supposedly, because I never got that far. See, this game was glitched slightly in such a way that if you don't fulfill one leg of his quest line, it glitches out so that you can't do the rest. But he continues to ask you for the thing you never brought him, even if you have it on hand to give to him. So I was like, but the thing is, to get back to doing it, there was a part in the game where you had to go to the town, do some stuff, leave the town, go to another place, and then go somewhere further away. But instead, you're supposed to go back to the town for no reason, just to talk to this jerk to give him one lousy item that is easy to find. He could have walked one block up the street and bought it himself. But no, he needs you to give it to him because he's the freaking Antlion Man, freaking hot stuff he is. So, being me, the person who wants to do everything in one go because I don't have time for that, I realized that this happened, and I wondered, what the heck's going on? He won't take my orange gel. I don't get it. So I went to GameFAQs and asked around, like, what the heck's going on with this thing? I went to this place. He's asking me for an item that I have. Why won't he take it? Turns out there was a glitch in the game. Someone explained it to me, and I came to realize that if I had just did the thing I never do, which is play a game with an FAQ, at least to say here are missable things that you don't want to, abandon for the purpose of full game experience, I would not have had this problem, because I would have been able to actually at least check off the box and say, don't forget to go to that place because you need this to see the end game bonus content. So what did I do? I stopped playing the whole game. I quit. I had just gotten past a really awesome plot point and everything, where you realize that the big plot revelation of the main character and his whole situation didn't care. I just was so frustrated that I can't fight these cool bonus bosses and get these cool bonus items that I just shut down. I was like, I can't play this anymore.
Yeah, that is a kick in the pants right there.
It really is, especially because you hear this track. The boss fights in this game were superb. The characters of the generals you have to fight that this theme plays for, I like all of them. This is one of those games where when you get into a battle that's like a story like this, the characters have conversations while you're fighting.
Yeah, I remember.
Which is kind of hilarious. Yeah. The characters getting launched in the air, getting beat up. They're still like, I have a full line of dialogue I want to say with I'm currently burning. Whatever.
I played one of the Tales games. Our friend Kim really wanted us to try it, and I couldn't get into it. It's the battle system. I just didn't like the kind of run around, very action focused battle system. But yeah, it was cool how they all there's dialogue. There's all this it's kind of like flavor. It adds like to the characters, so you're not just like playing the same battles over and over again. Like you actually get a little bit more of learning about the character and who the character is about. Like even just through some of these more monotonous battles, it's pretty cool.
It always drives me nuts though, because they always start out with them teaching you the battle system. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's like some pro out there that doesn't have the same experience, but they start you out teaching you the battle system, say, oh, press this button to block, press this button to attack, do enough damage, and you'll bring their shield down, then hit them with a combo of special attacks. Awesome possum, right? Then you're thinking, okay, if I'm skilled with this, I should be able to just mow down even the toughest enemies. But it feels like it hits you with one of those like those arcade game style scenarios where the game just hits a point where no matter what you do, they're just going to tank your hits and just start come at you flying. You can't stun lock them.
So that I watched there's a documentary called Insert Coin that's all about not Williams, but about Midway in the 1990s and the arcade systems and stuff they had. There was actually a formula that they had that would increase the difficulty at a certain time, and like most of the arcade operators were like that, and it's nefarious. Like they said, like they wanted to get an extra quarter within like the first 30 seconds to 60 seconds of gameplay. So the idea is that if you're good enough and you got through like the first 2 or 3 characters in Street Fighter, that fourth one is going to mow you down no matter what. to the point where there's like an NBA Jam, like it would start tanking your shots just to keep the game going, just to make you pay more
like you
money.
would think you shot the ball, but the game would make your shot miss.
Yeah, it would do that, and they did some weird, crazy tangent about it. I couldn't believe they did this. They even did weird stuff where they wanted you to come back to play more if they gave you crazy moments. So if it was like the last second and you shot the ball from the other side of the court, it would just go in because it was so exciting.
That is so weird.
Yeah,
but it
really
also justifies why I didn't like playing the game. Because I was like, it never feels like I'm getting it right. How's my ball just missing like this?
It's just random stuff, right? So your story about this reminded me of Final Fantasy X too. And it was like a glitch that wasn't going to block your game, but it blocked you from getting a full 100% on your memory card after it was done. Like you had to I did everything, did all the special stuff, but because I missed talking to one NPC in one town, you couldn't go back and talk to him because like some event would happen and he would leave the area, so you couldn't go back and get to him. And so my card ended at like 99%, and I'm like, was it at least a reasonable? You can't go back, as if to say, logically, like the game, he's gone, like he moves on himself. Yeah, like the town was like destroyed or something, so he's just not there anymore. But like you had to know to go talk to him in order to get the 100%. But then I'm like, when I'm done, I'm like, well, that's fine, because a memory card that says 100% that I'm never going to play again, like I'm never going to look at it again. It's not like I can hang it on my wall, so that's fine. I had to get over that. It's not like it didn't like block the game, or like I didn't like lose any like super special item that I really wanted to get. Makes me wish I could just do that for this darn game, but I feel like ultimately what's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to sit down and say, let's start over from scratch, and actually get a checklist out that says do this and don't forget to do this. Now do that. So yeah, I mean, these GameFAQs and strategy guides are good for that kind of thing. Right, my next track is from a fighting game. Guess what? A fighting game.
Well, I mean, that's your bread and butter.
I love. So yeah, I went to GameFAQs or whatever was available at the time. I think it was GameFAQs to look up all about Marvel vs. Capcom, the first Marvel vs. Capcom, I think New Age of Heroes. This is music by Yuko Takehara and Masato Kohda. This is specifically theme music for hidden characters in the game. So we're going to listen to that music right now. This is really good. Yeah, it's short, but it's shorter than a lot of the other tracks, but it's really fun. This is a theme of hidden characters from Marvel vs. Capcom for the arcade, composed by Yuko Takehara and Masato Kohda. It sounds a lot like other like Capcom music, like mashed up into one. To be honest, like I hear a little bit of all sorts of things going on here. So it's really exciting. But there are all these hidden characters, hidden like moves, and hidden. What they call assist character type things, all hidden in this game in the arcade that you can pick from. And at that time, I was working at Funscape at the arcade, and this is like a big thing. We played fighting games constantly on breaks, before we opened, after we closed. We just never stopped playing fighting games. And this was a big one when it came out. And learning where the hidden characters were and how to get to them was a big deal. So we would like go to GameFAQs and like download and print them out. And we'd have them like behind the counter, like behind the desk at the arcade, and so you can go and pick it up, and you can You can go play as like Shadow. Like most of the hidden characters are like Shadow Guile or Shadow Chun-Li. But they have like Chun-Li can do like fireballs and crazy kind of like dashes and stuff in the air that she couldn't normally do. And there's also hidden ways that you can fight the hidden characters too. So that was really neat.
That definitely explains why I couldn't remember any of the hidden characters in the game. So they were like sort of like how Rival Schools did it, where there were characters. Well, I guess Rival Schools was like character construction, but people that already exist in the game with modified versions of the characters. So I was like, this is you, but now you have a wacky kick that makes you weirder to combat because you're not used to that.
Yeah. They did that in Project Justice too for the Dreamcast. I forgot there was like a character creation in that, right?
Yeah, because the Japanese version of the game had a mini game that lets you unlock character customization elements, but the US version didn't get that. So instead, they just said, well, instead of that, we'll just let you unlock like 100 different custom-made characters, and you can play with them. So, I mean, I had fun with that, but I do wish the school life mode was in the game to experience that as well. But, what are you going to do?
I'm going to have actually a very apropos story and track later on in the show about that.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that then.
It's funny. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing that's funny is like when you picked this track and started playing it, it actually reminded me of what I came across last week in the form of a sound-alike. Now, admittedly, it's in the same company, which means the same composer probably worked on the two games. But the character select theme from, I think it was like X-Men versus Street Fighter or X-Men Children of the Atom. But it is very much Cutman from Mega Man 1. And when I caught that, I was like, wait a minute, there's no way no one else has heard this. And I was playing it talking about it with a friend who also likes fighting games like that and likes Mega Man. And he couldn't put two and two together listening. I was like, this is right there. It's literally right there. It's Cutman. How are you not hearing this?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel a lot like Mega Man X music also. Maybe it's like guitar sound, yeah.
That's why I was like, during the break, I was like, I feel like if I listened to this long enough and did some digging, it might be a sound alike. Like they took some elements from a Mega Man X stage theme or something and slapped it in here and then extended it. Would not surprise me.
Well, I'm trying to look up to see if there were similar composers crossed over. And you know what? They used a lot of pseudonyms in Children of the Atom, so I'll look that up another time.
That will wait till another time.
That will be another time. But yeah, I really like Marvel vs. Capcom. Once the second one, Marvel Capcom 2, came out, that sort of took over that kind of niche for me. So going back and playing this one actually feels kind of slow and a little different, but it's still very good. Still really enjoy playing it when I get the chance. They have like one of those little arcade one-up, like those little quarter size cabinets. Is there one for this game? Yeah, for Marvel vs. Capcom. They have this at the comic book shop down the road. Yeah, that's kind of
how I watched 1984 because they used to have the actual full machine there.
Yeah, they had that. They had a Tekken. It was like Tekken 2. Man, their games were just broken by the time they closed.
Yes, they were. Yeah, I mean, I feel like to run an arcade, you got to have a person on staff that can pull off. Yeah. That can bring in that kind of stuff. Like, hey, we need somebody who can just come in and fix this stuff on the dime.
Yeah, they pivoted that place from being a barcade into the arcade being like set dressing for a music venue.
Yep, which I get. I mean, they gotta survive. You gotta make that green bean.
Yeah, and they were very successful at it. You know, they had a lot of bands come through. They were very, very good, and they were so successful that COVID destroyed them.
Yeah, pretty much. One of the losses.
Yeah, definitely one of the big losses of this area. Hey, we got some more music, right? More music. What's up?
Maybe. Let me see. Is there music on? Yes, there is music on this list. Who would have thought? Nobody.
My heart skipped a beat per now.
I only picked one track for the whole episode. Now, this next track is gonna. If we're talking about this topic, it has to be a track from this game. You already know where it's going to come from, and there's a story behind it. As always, you've probably even heard it before, but I don't care. I'm gonna tell it again. This comes from the game Mulana 2. The track title is called Hell Hymnal and is composed by Takumi Naramura. Welcome back. You're listening to the Hell Hymnal from the game La Mulana 2, composed by Takumi Naramura. And the reason why I selected this track in particular from this particular game is because whereas this episode's theme is getting by with a little help, sometimes that help is GameFAQs, sometimes that help is just as the song says, from your friends, ooh, or whatever. And in this case, that happened to be my friend Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito, who came through in a clutch to start playing a game that I also was starting to play around the time COVID first kicked off and everybody was sequestered to their rooms and their houses. And what it resulted in was probably one of, if not the best gameplay experiences I've ever had in my life. In that it took a game that by design is meant to be very difficult, very taxing on the mind and the action, and also dexterity, and turn it into something that could be a collaborative experience where two friends are attacking the same problems together before there were FAQs, no less. There weren't even FAQs written about this game at the time. So we were tackling the problems, taking our own versions of notes, because this game requires you to take detailed notes and make maps and try to make things that seeming to not connect relate to each other so that you can piece together the puzzle. Something that you see 2 hours ago, let me rephrase that. Something you see 6 hours ago suddenly matters. That kind of thing. Yeah. And we would be playing these games on our own right, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, one of us will have an epiphany, and we'll message like, I got it! I found the thing! The way to get into this room! You gotta do the thing! Try this out! Or you might say, I figured it out. The secret involves the jade monkey flying across the sky at night with sunglasses. And the person, and like the other person's like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Because you're not trying to spell it out for them, right? You're trying to give them enough clues, like, "Hey, we figured it out. Don't kill yourself." But also, I'm not giving it away for free, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this particular level of the game was major for that because they give you clues about it for hours. A good chunk of the game, this level is discussed and talked about across murals and text. And you need to find it. You need to find your way in, but you have no idea how to go about doing it. And it involves you doing things in different areas of the game, eventually culminating with you unlocking a gate that makes you fall into it. And then you're trapped. You can't get out until you find the way out because you can't go back once you fall in. And it is called the Eternal Prison. And like its name says, you are trapped there once you find your way in. But I remember finally discovering the entrance and losing my ever-loving mind because we were beating our heads against the wall collectively for like 2 days trying to find the way into this place. And I messaged him. I was like, I finally did it. I finally did it. I found the way to the Eternal Prison. Whatever you need, I got you, buddy. But you can do it because I already did it. And I gave him some cryptic clues. And he was off to the races. It was, oh man, I look back on this game so much so and acknowledge it for what it is. This game and its prequel, it is a masterpiece in gaming, and I will say it till I die. No game is going to top the La Mulana pair, as far as I'm concerned, and experiences. Yeah, and a large part of that comes from this experience.
Not for everybody, but definitely,
for sure.
Definitely unique. As I tried it, and I thought this would be something that I would definitely get into, and I played for a good while, and I was able to figure out a few things, but oh my god,
it ramps up.
It ramps up. The level of detail you have to keep track of. Yeah, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Oh, so glorious!
And the combat, and the physics, like the jumping and everything, is so specifically
modeled after MSX games.
Yeah, it's definitely hokey in a way that's like, oh, games don't control like that anymore for a good reason. but that's part of the gameplay. You have to figure that out and get good at it.
You got it. It's all part of the experience.
Yeah. All right. So my next track is coming from something a little more recent that I got into, I guess, in the last like 10, 15 years. I've always been big into arcade shoot 'em ups, space shooters from Cave and bullet hell type games. And I got really into a few that I needed more information on because, and unless you're talking to somebody about these games, you don't know anything about what's going on because they came out in Japan. Were probably not translated, and then you might find them in an arcade or not, and you're probably playing them on an emulator, hoping to figure out what the hell you're doing. So you need the GameFAQs, and you need certain forums as well. So this is DoDonPachi Dai-Ou-Jou Black Label for the arcade. This is A Peaceful Death. This is the ending music by Manabu Namiki and arranged by Sega All-Star, the great Mrs. Tomoko Sasaki. This is the ending theme, A Peaceful Death, from DoDonPachi Dai-Ou-Jou Black Label for the arcade. Manabu Namiki, arranged by Tomoko Sasaki. Ooh.
Listen, I was going to ask about the game having vocals, but that explains it's the ending theme,
it's the ending
that
theme,
covers
yeah.
the do.
It's emotional. There's some singing or like some like kind of vocalizing in the background of some of the tracks, and I've played a couple of them on the show before. I love the music to these games. The Manabu Namiki is one of my all-time favorites. If we ever do the Mount Rushmore of game composers again, I'm gonna do. He's definitely up there. But
well, you did make a comment on the break that this person was responsible for a nice callback in the form of friggin' Rystar.
Yeah. Tomoko Sasaki was on my pantheon of favorites. Masters of EGM.
Yes.
Yeah, that we did. And Tomoko Sasaki was up there because I love Sega music, Sega arcade music too. She's fantastic. So, two of my favorites, Manabu Namiki and Tomoko Sasaki. I played this one because I really wanted to learn more about these bullet hell games. Like I really enjoyed playing them, but I didn't have like any context because there was no community that I was aware of near me of other enthusiasts who play these games. So I was like, just how far can I get on 1/4? Can I get through a game on 1 credit? I kind of figure out how the scoring works, but like unless like you really know what's going on or talk to somebody or collaborate with somebody, like it's really hard to know like how to optimize scoring and gameplay in these bullet hell games. And so I found a site called it's still out there and very active, but it is old looking. It looks like it was made in like 1995. It's called the Shmups Forum. It's just the Shmups Forum.
Oh no, that's on the nose.
Yeah, but it's called like Shmups something 144. I forget. But if you look up Shmups Forum, you'll find it. And there's like guides and people's high scores from like not just like the newer or most popular shoot 'em ups and bullet hell games, but it's all over the board. So if you're looking up information on something that you just discovered or something that's very rare, like there's information out there, like, you know, what does this item do? Like, what's the best way to get through the game? And, you know, like what makes it harder? What makes it easier? It's really fascinating. And it was cool discovering a community that was really into it and was really helpful in helping people understand how to play the games. I really appreciated that.
I mean, you took it and ran with it because then you became your own beast.
I am not good at these games. I just like playing them.
Oh no! I mean, I remember playing friggin' Spark Bomber. What the heck is that game?
Oh, Gigawing
2
yeah.
Specifically. And I remember you being pretty good at that, all things considered.
Yeah, that was probably one of the first ones that I was like, I'm gonna get good at this game, and I wish I knew more about how it was played. But like, I put a lot of hours into that game. That's young. That's a young Rob Nichols playing that game.
Young Rob Nichols.
Young Rob Nichols, yeah. Can't play like that anymore, but I definitely enjoy them. And the newer bullet hell style games, especially the indie ones, are beautiful. But there's no way I can keep up with that level of fine control and hand-eye coordination. Not like that at all. But
fully relate to that.
Yeah, but they're fun. They're fun to try.
Look, I was looking up info on what's that game called? I was playing Robbie Reeby the other day. That game I keep coming back to off and on for years now.
But you put on hard mode, so
absolutely I did. And when I did that, I was like playing it with Yosuke here, and I was like, you know, let me show you how hard this game can get. After he got tired of watching me die to the same boss over, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop. This is my last time. But let me show you, or I didn't say let me show you. It's like, let's see how an actual good player beats this boss. So I booted it up, and of course, the video I found was the person doing it on Bunny Extinction mode, which is the hardest difficulty to my knowledge.
Extinction.
And like outright just put my skills to shame. Like these guys are monsters at the game. And then after that, I looked up what I thought was probably the hardest boss in the entire game. Whether it's true or not is up for debate. But it was a 16-minute boss battle, and the person never got hit the entire freaking time.
Wow.
And the bullet patterns were just stupid. Freaking stupid.
Yeah, the adding bullet hell elements to a side-scrolling platformer to me is just insane. It's like it's taking something where like you have 8 directions you can move away from to get away from these things that will just kill you in one shot, and then you translate that to something where it's like, oh no, you can only move left and right. And if you jump, there's gravity pulling you down. You know, like
It's always up happening a lot of times because you end up having to make it so you force yourself in the air early just so you can dodge down or up.
Wow! So you have to
do a double jump or a dash down
to anticipate the attacks.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Like I'm telling you, man, there are some videos out there where you're like, wow, how much effort did you have to put into learning these patterns and becoming this good? Whatever it is, I don't have it in me.
Well,
old, and I don't have talent.
You know what I believe is in you is another track. Got some more music for us?
I already ran that joke. I can't do it twice. Yeah, I do have another track. It is from a game that I have played on the show before, but I'm actually surprised when I went to check. I never picked this track before. Maybe it's lost in the ether. Who knows? But I'm picking it now because I couldn't find it before. This comes from the game Blue Dragon, and the track title is called An Ancient Fortress, and it is composed by Nobuo Uematsu. Welcome back. You're listening to An Ancient Fortress from the game Blue Dragon, originally released on the Xbox 360 and composed by Nobuo Uematsu. So, Blue Dragon and my choice of this track is an example of getting by with a little help from FAQs for a specific purpose, being to revisit something that you've left on the table for so long that you couldn't possibly recall where the heck you left off. But the alternative to starting over is just nonsense. You're not going to do it. In the case of this game, a video game group that I'm in chose this to be their game of the quarter, being an RPG that people should play through over the course of 3 months or so. And I've already beaten Blue Dragon. I beat it many, many years ago. How long ago? I think I still was living in my house at the time. That's how long ago I've played Blue Dragon. Love the game, though. Hated Maru. Love the game. And I was like, well, wow, I wonder... At first I was like, does it count for credit if I've beaten the game before? It's like, no, it's got to be beaten during that time. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that. But I wonder if there's any post-game content I left on the table that I could go back to and try to revisit. Maybe take it down.
Yeah.
And the answer is, yeah, there are a number of bonus bosses I just didn't bother with. So the problem with that, however, is now I'm coming back to a game I haven't played in over a decade, trying to tackle bosses that require you to have full knowledge of what you've experienced throughout the game. And I need to refresh myself on what those things are. So the beauty of using game FAQs or various forums to, one, find all the bosses and the towns that they exist in, since I don't know where those places are anymore. And two, getting reacquainted with my save file and then taking what I don't understand and referencing it on there to go, okay, what I was doing here was I was using this to level up to get that, which then allows me to do that. And this skill is good because it does this, which will be good against that boss. That's why I was doing that. It makes sense now. Putting those pieces back together to build the old 2008 Purnell again from the ground up without having to play 90 hours of RPG to do that. It is a good thing to have access to, and I am very grateful for the people who put together these extensive guides for people like myself who are like, I want to do it, but I don't have time to redo it. So.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to get the Dark Aeons in Final Fantasy X. I was like, there's something I never thought about trying to do because it seemed so out there. How are people achieving this? And these FAQs were really handy in being like, oh, this is how you power level up a character, or this is how you find them in the first place.
Who to use your friend spheres on since you have so few of them.
Exactly, yeah. So those difficult choices that you may have ruined early on in the game, if I want to go back to an old save file and then try to tackle some bonus content, yeah, that's a really good idea. Or a really good thought that you had, good track on this topic.
It's funny, like this topic, it was already a good one from the start, but the more thought I put into it, I was like, this is even better than I originally gave it credit for. There's layers here.
There are layers. There's just layers to these games too, which is really exciting. Because like oftentimes, especially these RPGs, if I finish them, I'll try to do as much as I can. But if there's stuff that I missed, I'm not going to go back. I consider it completed. Like Tunic, I think I did almost everything you could do in that game that's at least known. If there's something new that comes up, I'll watch a YouTube video. It's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to go back.
If you walked away satisfied, why go back?
I mean, that game, that was a Snickers. I was extra satisfied.
Really satisfied. All those nifty puzzles.
All right, I'm going to turn this track down, all the way down, and we're going to get into the part of the show, Purnell, that we call... You know what I'm going to say? The bonus round.
What? You beat me to it. You didn't put any emphasis on it. You got to put emphasis on it.
The
you got to do a thing.
The bone. Sorry, I can't get rid of this cough, so it's going to be the bonus round.
Well, there's your emphasis.
I'm sure people don't want to hear me cough on the show.
True. But the humor.
But give me a little beat. Purnell. Give me a beat.
Bonus round. Going to get to the beat. You're going to talk to the thing. Going to get to the street. Want to hear new music by composers that did things that they liked from the day. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not even rhyming correctly. So
I'll get that.
I'm so tired.
The bonus round is the part of the show where we play covers and arrangements and remixes on our theme. And we are going back to the Dreamcast specifically, and back to Marvel vs. Capcom. This is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the Factory Stage jazz cover by the J Music Ensemble, originally composed by Tetsuya Shibata. This is a 9-minute long jazz epic. Just giving you a little warning right now. It goes in some amazing places, but it is a long boy. So this is the Factory Stage jazz cover for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I have a fun story about this when we come back. Let's get into it. back. That was the factory stage music jazz cover for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, composed by Tetsuya Shibata, arranged by the J Music Ensemble. I really love those folks at J Music. They do some amazing stuff to video games, to anime soundtracks. They're really, really good musicians, really good arrangers. So it was funny is like, I was like on the Wikipedia page and they talked about, for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and they talked about the reception of this game when it came out, and people really enjoyed it, but the music got panned so hard.
Yeah, because it didn't fit. I was one of the people that panned it. But as time progresses and the music starts to stand on its own, and you also get used to it being in the game,
right? It
works.
It works. I really love the soundtrack to Marvel Capcom 2. Now I think about that. When it came out, I wasn't into it, but I'm well into it now. So for me, this is really specific, right? So, I got Marvel Capcom 2 first as an import, pirated copy of it. But when you do that, I know. You only get so many characters, and then you have to play the game to unlock the characters, right? But there was something with the Japanese version where it wasn't unlocking, or you had to do something specific. I can't remember what it was, but you couldn't actually unlock all the characters, or it would take a long, long, long time. So
hey, didn't you just need to spend currency in game to unlock people, or did you have to do something to make them available to purchase?
Yeah, you had to do something to make them available to purchase. Maybe it was even online too. To do it, but it was something that I couldn't do with the Japanese version that I had. So, GameFAQs, you couldn't just there weren't just FAQs you could download. There were save files you could download. And Purnell, did you know the Dreamcast had a web browser built into it?
Yes, I did, and I loved it for that.
Did you know that in 1999, in the year 2000, I didn't have a computer? I had a Dreamcast.
I also did know that, but it's freaking awesome because it did the job.
Yeah, I had a keyboard.
You played a lot of Fantasy Star.
I had a controller, and I was able to use the internet for whatever I needed it for, and email and all that. And go to GameFAQs, and through the web browser on the Dreamcast, you could download the save file, save it to your VMU, the memory card for the Dreamcast, and use that save file. So I would download save files for other games too, but mainly for Marvel Capcom 2, so I could unlock all the characters immediately.
I stand by the belief that system was way ahead of its time when it came out, and people just shunned it.
It was, they released updates to the web browser all the time. Like they were just always releasing new discs, and it was just they were doing a lot with that little system, and I really like it.
I agree.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy I kept mine, just for nostalgic purposes. I'm so happy I still have mine.
I will say this though, whether it's because of a Sega's final system or not, that I don't know. Though it probably is. I love the fact that for all the grief it got back then, where everybody's like, I can't wait. I'm just gonna wait for the PS2. Blah blah blah. There's only one game console whose birthday we celebrate every year, and it ain't the PlayStation 2.
That's right.
I can tell you that much.
I'd say the PlayStation 2 was a big deal because it did include a DVD player that a lot of people. The DVD players at the time were still expensive, so buying a game console that was also a DVD player was a really, really good value for money prospect for people.
If I remember correctly, my first DVD player was $300.
Yeah, mine was expensive too, and it was huge and slow.
Yep, I definitely remember that.
Yeah. All right, what's your track for us?
So my track. It's funny enough, it might be because I need to find some different places to search for, but I wanted to find a cover track for a very specific level and a very specific game, and I only found one. I only found one cover that wasn't an official arrangement on an album or something.
Uh-oh.
So, but thankfully it was by a fantastic cover artist, so I'll take what I can get.
It's not like some dude with a kazoo and like...
No, this is an actual good artist here that put some pride and effort into their work. And you're going to hear it now. This is the cover of the Solomon Shrine area from the game Ys 2. And the cover artist is GaMetal himself.
All right.
So look forward to that heaviness. Welcome back. You're listening to a cover for the theme to the Solomon Shrine area of Ys Book 2, covered by GaMetal, and fair bit heavier than the track is in the official game, but I do love the fact that he got the wows in there because the game definitely gets those high pitch bends, both in the version that apparently this was a cover of being the Ys Book 2 Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles version, but also in the PC Engine version of the game as well. So the reason why I decided to pick Ys Book 2 is because this is the version of getting by with a little help that we haven't addressed on the show yet. Back before the internet came about, when you had to get your parents' permission to dial a overpriced phone number to sometimes get a human being on the line. But depending on the game, you could also get automated advice as well. Sometimes they'd have pre-recorded tips on games depending on the game you were searching for. But if you had to get something a little extra obscure, they'd have live people who were actually paid to sit there and mine booklets of information for games just to tell you how to solve problems in games. And you'd call, pay like $4.99 a minute, and you just listen to a bunch of ringtones and like video game music playing over the hold music until eventually you got a person that's like, "Hey, how can I help you?" I'm like, I am playing through Solomon Shrine on Ys Book 2, and I have no idea how to trigger the entrance to the tower to open up because these two guards won't get the heck out of the way. Because this game is ridiculously convoluted in regards to how many event triggers you have to pull off in order to get things to happen throughout the game. And of course, they talk you through it, and they'd waste some of your time because they got to get that bling bling, baby. And, we went through it, and then at the end of the month, your parents come in the room and like, "Who the heck made this call for $20 to this stupid number?" "Oh, no, but I beat Ys 2 last week, and it was worth it." Do your worst. It was that sort of thing. And it's funny, too, because I look back on that game. Mm-hmm. I think I had to get help 2 times playing through Ys Book 2 as a kid. Because the way they designed it, where sometimes it was event triggers that I didn't understand. How did I not make this happen? Oh, because I was supposed to talk to one specific guy in this one specific place after I went way up here to make this thing happen. And Solomon Shrine was especially convoluted because it was about the length of half of the entire game by itself. Solomon Shrine was a huge dungeon. Probably one of the bigger dungeons it was at the time the largest dungeon I'd ever done in a video game.
Oh wow.
And it was very awesome in how they designed it. It had an east and a west. The dungeon was broken into sections. Oh. And then it had a sewer. So it was even the sewer which went beneath both the east and the west sections.
So you were meant to spend a lot of time here.
Yes, you were. Wow. They designed it that way, and it was awesome. And just like before, it called into reason everything you'd learned throughout the game thus far, using the monster disguises to sneak into monster bases, how to transform or light candles, all kinds of cool stuff. I loved it. I love it, and there's a reason why Ys Book 1 and 2 are in my very short one-handed list of top games ever made. It's really fantastic.
Well, then, and then hearing all this Falcom sound team music at an early age probably formed your taste in music.
Oh, it absolutely did. It's how I learned to like metal, because I remember being in college and Mike being a friend Mike going, "Hey, I listen to he listened to some of the game music I listen to, including mostly Ys Book 1 and 2, and he goes, "Huh. Do you have a thing for metal music? It sounds like you like metal music based on what I'm hearing." I was like, "Oh no, that's the devil's music. I can't listen to that." And he goes, "What are you talking about? It's not the devil's music. Here, I'll just give you some albums or give you some songs you can listen to." So he passed me a few tracks, and at first I was like, "Whoa, there's growling. Turn it off." And I just wouldn't listen to it. But then I slowly built up an interest in it because if I ignore the growling, it sounds really good.
I think you
like this.
I think you like the growling, but I think you appreciate female vocalists more. Am I right in saying that?
I do.
Yeah.
I would say that's the case, but even still, it takes a very specific female vocalist growling for me to go, "Oh yeah, this is awesome." But most of the time, I could do without growling. Even if it's aggressive vocals, I'd prefer them to be vocals that I'm like, "Okay, this makes sense. I'm hearing it." Not you're not adding anything for me. I want the words, not the snarl.
Well,
so
it's nice to have a new episode where Falcom Sound Team still makes an appearance.
Oh, they
somehow,
have.
even if it's an arrangement. But for more information on the bonus round part of our show, please go to rhythmandpixels.com, where we'll have links to the artists' SoundClouds, Bandcamps, everywhere you can go download and buy the music and support these artists. All right, thanks for joining us on 37-2, our episode on getting help. However,
Get by with a little help from my games.
We're ending the show on a little callback on what we talked about earlier, which is Sonic 3 Carnival Night, the Carnival Night Zone. Hopefully, this kind of crazy carnival music won't drive you crazy by the end of the show.
Or maybe it will.
I'll turn it down.
Yeah.
I'll make sure the mix is turned down.
Oh.
Well, we'll turn it back up at the end.
I was looking for some insanity.
I hope this show inspired you to get help. No, I hope the show inspired you to think back on the fond memories you have of looking up GameFAQs, maybe discovering something about a game that you love that you wouldn't have known otherwise.
Just give it some time. Dig deep. Accept the fact that sometimes I'm spilling the beans early here, but I guess sometimes you just gotta accept the fact that you can't quite pull it off yourself, and that it's okay to seek out help to pull off either it's a video game achievement or a life achievement, really. But no man is an island, and that goes for entertainment too.
Yeah, and and if you would like some help from us, you can send us an email, and we'll try to help.
Actually, it's funny you say that. Now, then we can do the actual official thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember if it was for this show or it was somewhere else. But I remember, no, it wasn't this show. It was years ago where somebody was playing Ys Chronicles and they got stuck on a boss and they didn't know how to beat them and they were looking for help. And I recorded a video of myself fighting the boss while talking over it to give them advice on how to win. Because I was like, I don't want you to stop here because this is the boss that gave me the most grief back of the day too. You can beat him. Here's how to do it. Yeah. And I always look fondly on that, and it matches this message to the letter when you say, if you need help, you looking for some help from us. Like, he's not BSing you. If I can help, I'll do the help. So, at rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
If you want to find out more, learn more about our show, or find all of our episodes, access to all of our episodes, and links to all the stuff that we have, like Discord and merchandise, cool T-shirts, things like that. All of that you can find at our website,
www.rhythmandpixels.com.
And of course, you can't just talk about getting help without talking about our Patreon. Everyone who's a member of our Patreon certainly helps us. And as a member of our Patreon, you get all of our episodes ad-free. You can also get them ad-free at YouTube. But hey, you get ad-free at Patreon. You get access to live stream episodes that we do. You can join us during the live stream. And there's usually lots of visual jokes and things that we do on the show that are just for the Patreon members. That's always a lot of fun. There's also cool things like stickers and mugs and T-shirts that you can get by being a member on our Patreon. And we'd like to thank all of our members who are at the highest tiers at the end of every episode. I want to thank Brooke, Corey, and Khalid. The three of you, thank you very, very much for your continued support of our show. Huge, huge thank you. We also want to thank
Khalid for writing in.
Oh yeah, I think I mentioned that last time, but yeah, the email you sent us. And the emails that you have sent us are really appreciated, and they're very heartfelt, and they make us feel really good about ourselves. So thank you very much. So thank you also to Kristen, GameFan44. Thank you to Martyrus, host of the ReVGM podcast. Thank you to Mike Myers, Fashion8060, Antmaster, Brian Pitt, Cameron Worma, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito, who we mentioned on the show with La Mulana. Thank you to Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219.
The wise guy.
Thank you to Christopher Senstrom, host of the Gameable Audio podcast. Thank you to Davey Cakes, David Good, David Taylor, Enchilada Regol, Harold Howard, Triple Jeff, Justin Schneider, host of the XVGM radio podcast, Keith Shusterman, Rage Cage, host of the VG Emporium podcast, Reinhard Silkova, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, Taco, and Zach Thornbach. thank all of you and many, many more for continuing to support our show. We really appreciate it. So thank you so much. All the money definitely goes towards keeping everything hosted, the live streams going. The live streams you can check out on YouTube, youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. We have a live radio station of 8-bit and 16-bit classics. I'm always updating it and trying to keep it alive. I'm also
a good bop for the office.
Also hosting the KVGM, the Last Wave radio station. So look them up on YouTube. Also a fantastic podcast hosted by Hammock. All video game music, all extremely, extremely chill and laid back jams. Amazing. And so if you go to the live stream, it is every song he has ever played. It's probably close to 2,000 tracks of music. It's incredible.
Damn.
Yeah, it's massive. So it's really nice to have on in the background. It's really, really
Hammock
pleasant.
wants you to stay in that hammock.
Yeah, he wants you to stay in that hammock. Yeah, get a nice cool drink on a hot day and just chill.
2,000 tracks. It's not just the day. You'll be out there all night. Probably the next morning, too.
Yeah, you can tune in at any time during the week and you'll probably hear something different. I think that's really great. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that, and Hammock's really proud of that, too. So, I want to give that a huge shout out. I don't think I can talk much more, so I gotta sign off. Thank you everybody for listening to the show. Pernell, thanks for recording remotely tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
The name of our show, Pernell, is Rhythm and Pixels.
They say, in the name of our show, I have the power.
Thanks everyone for listening. My name is Rob Nichols,
and I'm Pernell.
Have a have a great week. We'll see you next time.
And remember, yes, I already spilled the beans on this one, so it's no surprise. But yes, there's no shame in getting help for a game or for life matters or for emotions or for really anything. Help is there. Help is about getting support from those who care about us or from people who maybe will turn a quick buck from it. But their job in doing so is to assist you with something that you can't do yourself. That could be emotional, career, mental, games, because that's the whole episode theme here. There's no shame or harm in it, and it can come from your friends too. I know people have a bad penchant, myself included, of feeling like sometimes, reaching out to people for help is a recipe for being dropped like a bad habit. But the truth of the matter is, at least when it comes to your friends, a friend who can't support a friend in need is not a friend indeed. And that should not be a deterrent from you seeking help from a friend when you need it. It's just not worth it. Like, give them the opportunity to tell you no dice. So that's the lesson of the day. Now go get some marmalade and make yourself a sandwich.
I love marmalade.
For good reason. It's delicious. Patty Bear likes marmalade too.
Not everyone likes it though.
They get crazy.
They do be crazy.